Hi, my name is Loretta Childress, and I'm a Biofield Tuning practitioner. And I would like to talk to you briefly about what Biofield Tuning is and how I use it. So first, let me show you my tools. So I use tuning forks. So I use weighted tuning forks, and I also use unweighted tuning forks. So just briefly, the weighted forks have these drums, the weights on the end. So when it's activated, you're not going to hear the pitch, the sound, the frequency, unless you bring it very closely to your ear. What this is doing is this is bringing the vibration down through the fork like this. So it is an excellent way to use on the body because it's bringing that, I can really feel that frequency. It's like having a massage on the inside of your body. So these forks can be used on the body, and they can also be used in the field around your body. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But the unweighted forks are the ones that we're more familiar with. The sound it does not have the weights to pull it back down. The sound is going out, so we're hearing it. So these forks are great to use around the body. I don't use these on the body because it does not carry the frequency. I can't feel that vibration like I could with a weighted. So those are the two types of forks. I have different pitches and I have different forks, but those are basically the two types I use. And I also use crystals. Here's a Lemurian seed crystal, and they're really good at focusing in a laser-like way that frequency. So in parts of the field or the body I need it, I can just bring it in like that. I also use a pendulum to help me see over the chakras and the energy centers where I need to be working on the body. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what these do. So on the body, when I'm working on the body, we can work on many different things like it is good for headaches, for digestive issues, for muscle aches, for joint pain, just a limitless list of things and going on in the body. So that can help with all kind of things like that, and also with the flow in the body. It can help with the blood flow, with lymph flow, with just like the water or the fluid in general. We know that our bodies are made up of at least 70% of water. So all of this is a very healthy thing we're doing. And it also helps with the electrical flow, the current in our body and in our biofield. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And let me just say, when I realized how important it is to consider our body electrically, it helped put everything into better focus for me. Because we know that our heart is electrical, because we can measure that current outside of our body. We also know if our heart stops, that we bring it back with an electrical charge. We know our brains are putting out an electrical charge, that we can measure it with an EEG, that our blood has an electrical current, that our bones are electrical, every part of our body. So what this gave to me, knowing this, was the words to explain something like a field or a biofield that will make sense to people that are having a little trouble with it or are unfamiliar with this kind of work. So if we have that electrical current running through our body, then we have an electromagnetic field around us. And that is what we call the biofield. So for the most part of the session, usually I do work on the body, especially if we have some kind of urgent need coming up, but I work mainly in the field. So this is fascinating to me. What we've found is that our field is carrying a record of our life and of trauma, whether small or minor trauma or major trauma throughout our lives. We believe that the emotions that we experience are electrically charged. So when we have trauma, we leave like a little bits of it behind and stuck parts of electricity and energy in different parts in our field. So the way I begin to do that is at the outside edge of our field is the boundary, and it's more electrically charged. It's a little thicker. So I know that this is going to be somewhere out there about 5 to 6 feet out from the body, off of the body. So I move out that far and slowly come in with the forks. So I'm just moving it in until I can feel that resistance, that higher charge, and I know that's the boundary. So at the boundary, what we've come to know is that the field is like the rings in a tree. How we can, if we can open up the tree and count the rings, we can determine the age of the tree. Well, our biofield starts out at the boundary with the information from our gestation or in our birth. And then we know that the information that's stored like very close into the body is what's happening now. It's the now for us. So there is a timeline that we can work in as we're working. And so we know, say, if someone I was working on with was 60 years old, that out at the edge of the field when I found it, I would know that's age 0, or is that birth or before birth. And that's what's happening out there. And then the very close in right next to the body is 60 years old. So I can tell when I'm finding something in the field at about what age that occurred in their life. So if it's halfway between the boundary and the body, for a 60-year-old, that would be about 30 years old. And then I would know between the 30 and back at the outside of the boundary when I'm coming in at about halfway between, that would be 15 years old. So I can figure out roughly the ages. So what happens is I'm working in and I am using the sound of my fork to let it act like a sonar, and it is interacting with the frequencies coming off the body. So if there's something that's stuck in the body or the field, or there's some highly charged area or a depleted area, or there's a number of different things that could happen, it will interact very subtly with the sound and the vibration that's coming off of the fork. So I'm listening to the fork to hear whenever there's a difference. I'm feeling with my fingertips to feel the vibration and when it changes. And I also ask that I'll feel anything in my body that will help me to understand the information I'm getting this way. So I might say to someone like, I'm around age 10 and the sound is sounding like panic, and the feeling of the vibration is very anxious. Now that's very briefly there'll be more to it than that, but then the person might understand and remember something, may remember later. But the important thing is that I stay in that area and break up that stuck spot, that part of your energy, your electricity you left behind when you experienced that trauma. And I stay there until I can break it up. I use other forks. I might use the crystal until it feels like it's moving. And I use the fork into the body then. I might come upon other things that we work on. But I'm using it like not only to break that up and to smooth it out and get the flow going, but also to bring in that energy that was stuck, that electricity that was stuck, because that's not bad energy out there. That's just energy that's been unavailable. And we know, like, if that's left too long, it can cause physical things in the body, but also it's energy you've been missing. You've not been had available to you to use in a healthy way. So as I come in and get back over the body, say I'm working over the heart, I would bring that over that chakra, that energy center, that nerve plexus, and integrate what I've brought in back into the heart and let it be used by the body fully. And that's the very simple explanation. There's many different things that I can do. It's more involved with that. But generally, that's what it's doing. It's like a clearing of the field and smoothing out, getting the flow going to encourage better health physically and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I think this work is so amazing. I hope that made some sense to you, and maybe at another time I can talk more because I love talking about it. Thank you so much.